Hello, here we are in a second year Lane course called Business Ethics. So I thought it would be a good idea to offer some reflections about what ethics is and where it comes from. The simple answer is that it's a branch of philosophy, where philosophy, coming from the Greek, means love of knowledge or wisdom. Which leads us to ask, well, what would a person, a lover of knowledge, want to know about? What is philosophy? Take a minute to think about that. Philosophers say it's several things. It might be put in some categories. These categories might be, or one of these categories might be ontology. This is the study of what is. It asks the question, what exists? What is out there? Is there just material stuff? Galaxies and stars and tables and chairs and molecules and atoms? Or is there material stuff and another realm, another world, a separate kind of non-material dimension of existence? Is that a divine world? A sacred world? Is it a world of pure forms and ideas? A world where the perfect essences of things exists that we can come to know, or we can maybe not know but approach? This has led philosophers to think about another category, a related category of things they want to know about. Let's call it physics and metaphysics. Metaphysics meaning beyond or above physics. As I say, related to ontological questions. Physics being about what the material world is made of. Physics standing for all of the branches of science that we now know. Centuries ago, all of science was called physics, and before that, it was all called natural philosophy. So physics, what is the material world made of? How does it work? What is causation? How does change happen? And then in metaphysics, is there something else? Is there another world out there? What is that world? What is it made of? How does it work? This has led philosophers to ask about knowledge itself. How do we know what we know? This is epistemology, the study of knowledge itself. For example, we can ask, does smoking cause cancer? If you think it does, one might ask you, well, how do you know that? Or one might ask, well, how do doctors or biologists know that? People would talk about laboratories and experiments and observation and what have you. That's one kind of knowledge, maybe. Or we could ask, does pi r squared equal the area of a circle? We could ask, well, how do people know that? What makes that knowledge valid? Why do we think we actually know that? What kind of knowledge is that compared to knowledge about smoking and cancer? Or we could ask, should I steal a Coke from the store? If you answer yes or no to that question, one could ask you why. Why wouldn't you? Or why shouldn't you? Or why should you? And you would give an ethical response. Or you would give a response. I would say it's about ethics. But then I would ask, well, how do you know? How do you know that it's right or wrong to take a Coke from the store? What kind of knowledge is that? What makes that knowledge valid? What makes it really knowledge? So we have these realms of activity, realms of knowledge and information, science, math, logic, maybe ethics. Question is, are these the same kinds of knowledge? That takes us to ethics proper. We've seen as a branch of philosophy. A branch of philosophy that does what? That seeks to define what is good and evil, right and wrong, and why. But in order to answer this question, we need to consider, at least for a few minutes, where ethics came from. When did people start thinking about right and wrong and good and evil? The answer might be surprising. For most of human existence, many scholars argue, people didn't think about ethics in any way even remotely similar to the way we think about it now. Ethical questions just didn't come up. So where did ethics come from? Most researchers about ethics believe that it started with religion. Religion meaning a set of more or less coherent beliefs and practices that are based on faith, that are shared by a particular community. These beliefs and practices are concerning ultimate reality and the divine, as well as human beings' relationship with it. Religion, beliefs and practices based on faith, shared by community concerning ultimate reality, the divine, and human beings' relationship with it. Start with the cosmos. Everything that is. Most scholars think that religion, for the vast majority of human existence on the planet, did not consider ethics. Religion was nothing like, or almost nothing like, religions of today, the great religions of the world as we know them, most of them. Most scholars think that religion for tens and tens and tens of thousands of years was something that they call cosmic maintenance. Cosmic maintenance, what does this mean? Well, since the first humans, depending on how you define human, maybe 250,000 years ago, maybe 1 million years ago, maybe 3 million years ago or more, cosmic maintenance defines the world, the cosmos, the universe, as something that is controlled essentially by supernatural and divine powers. God or the goddess, or gods and goddesses of different kinds. Frequently these represented forces of nature or human traits and emotions. Human beings participated in the cosmos with the gods through ritual. That is, prayer, song, dance, pilgrimage, travel to certain places at certain times, sacrifice of crops or animals or other human beings. Human beings participated in maintaining the cosmos through their religious practices, through their ritual. They were certainly inferior to the gods, but their participation was essential. It was essential to keep the universe in good working order, to keep things going. The gods and human beings together divine beings and human beings together kept the universe working, kept the sun rising in the morning, the moon coming up at night, the tides going in and out, the rains coming during certain seasons, etc., making the plants grow and the animals behave as they do, saying prayers, singing songs, dancing dances, making sacrifices, all of the ritual behavior of religions was intended to work with the gods to help keep the universe functioning properly. Cosmic maintenance. Good and evil, right and wrong, thought and action, in social affairs and relationships among people, that is, ethics as we know it, was empty, was missing completely from this world. It did not exist. Life, human life, was a series of small bands of hunter-gatherers. They lived in groups of 8, 10, 12, maybe 15 people. They traveled about hunting and gathering fruit and vegetables and grains, and they all depended absolutely on each other for survival. They were much more collective beings than individuals. People could hardly conceive of themselves existing outside the group. Being banished from the group, removed from the group, was almost a death sentence. Individuals' sense of self was very different, was very weak, much less defined than it became later, and certainly much less concrete than it is today. Ethics was not really part of religion for most of human existence, though this eventually changed. What happened? After tens and tens of thousands of years, maybe hundreds of thousands of years, maybe 1,000,000 years, along comes the Axial Age. The great religions of the world as we know them today were born or they were reborn. The Buddha in northern India, Confucius, and Taoism in China. Judaism was remade by the prophets in the Middle East. The Upanishads transformed Hinduism in India. And the Greek greats, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, they were not religious figures, but they made a systematic inquiry into ethics for the first time in the West, as far as we know. The Axial Age, from about 800 to 200 BCE, before the Common Era. Why did it happen? What happened? First, notice that this might seem like a long time, 600 years. It's a flash, it's a moment in human existence. If humans have been wandering about the earth for 1,000,000 years or more, this 600-year period is a blink of an eye in human existence. So in this one moment, called the Axial Age, religion was transformed and ethics as we know it was born.